Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple nickel, one that looks completely ordinary, one that you might have sitting in your spare change jar right now, could be worth an absolutely staggering $9 million? Yes, you heard that right, $9 million for a 5-cent coin that most people would spend without giving it a second thought. And the crazy part is, this isn't some ancient artifact locked away in a museum vault. This is a 1997 Jefferson Nickel that could literally be hiding in your pocket, your car's cup holder, or that old piggy bank gathering dust in your attic. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? How can something so common become so extraordinarily valuable? And more importantly, how do you know if you have one of these life-changing coins? Well, stick with me because I'm about to reveal everything you need to know about this remarkable piece of American numismatic history. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Plus, I've got some other coins coming up that will absolutely blow your mind. Coins that collectors are fighting over, coins that have sold for amounts that seem impossible, and one of them might just be the most shocking discovery you'll hear about all year. But we'll get to those in a moment. First, let's dive deep into this incredible 1997 nickel, because understanding what makes it so special could literally make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. The story of the 1997 Jefferson Nickel begins in Denver, Colorado at the United States Mint's facility, a place where billions upon billions of coins are struck every single year with remarkable precision and consistency. But here's the thing about minting coins. Even with all the advanced technology, quality control measures, and experienced professionals working around the clock, mistakes happen. And when they do, those mistakes can create some of the most sought-after treasures in the entire numismatic world. The Denver Mint, marked by that distinctive D mint mark that you'll find on the obverse of the coin just to the right of Thomas Jefferson's portrait, was operating at full capacity in 1997. Producing millions of nickels for everyday circulation. And within that massive production run, something extraordinary occurred, something so rare and so spectacular that when collectors first discovered it, they could hardly believe their eyes. You see, the 1997 nickel that we're talking about isn't just any regular nickel. It's a coin that features multiple catastrophic errors that occurred simultaneously during the minting process, creating what numismatists call a perfect storm of minting mistakes. And these aren't subtle errors that you need a magnifying glass and years of experience to spot. No, these are dramatic, obvious, spectacular errors that immediately catch your attention the moment you look at the coin. The primary error that makes this coin so incredibly valuable is what's known as a broad strike error combined with a double denomination error. And if that sounds technical, let me break it down for you in a way that'll make perfect sense. Imagine the minting press malfunctioning in such a way that the planchet, which is the blank metal disc that becomes a coin, wasn't properly seated in the collar die, which is the ring that holds the coin in place during striking. And then, instead of striking the design once, the press came down multiple times, each time with slightly different alignment, creating a coin that's not only struck off-center but also shows doubling on virtually every design element. From Jefferson's profile to Monticello on the reverse, from the date to the mint mark, everything is doubled, broadened, and distorted in the most spectacular way imaginable. But here's where it gets even more incredible. This particular 1997 nickel also exhibits what's called a clash die error, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies come together without a planchet between them, essentially stamping each other and creating ghost images that then appear on subsequently struck coins. So when you look at this error nickel, you don't just see the doubling and broad strike, you also see faint mirror images of the reverse design bleeding through onto the obverse and vice versa, creating this absolutely mesmerizing, almost otherworldly appearance that makes the coin look like something from a numismatic fever dream. Now, you might be wondering, how did such a dramatically flawed coin make it out of the mint and into circulation? And that's a fantastic question because the US Mint has multiple quality control checkpoints specifically designed to catch error coins before they leave the facility. But every once in a while, During those crazy high-volume production days when millions of coins are being struck hour after hour, a few error coins slip through the cracks, they make it past the inspectors, they get mixed in with the regular coins, and they end up in circulation where they might sit unnoticed for years, decades even, before someone with a keen eye recognizes them for the treasures they truly are. The 1997 nickel we're discussing was discovered completely by accident in 2003 when a casual coin collector in Ohio was going through rolls of nickels looking for interesting specimens to add to their collection. And when they came across this particular coin, they initially thought their eyes were playing tricks on them because the errors were so pronounced, so obvious, that it seemed almost impossible that such a coin could be real. But after having it authenticated by a professional coin grading service, one of the most respected third-party grading companies in the numismatic industry, the coin was verified as genuine, graded, and encapsulated, and the numismatic world went absolutely crazy. Word spread like wildfire through coin collecting communities, forums exploded with discussions, and suddenly, everyone who had nickels from 1997 was checking them with magnifying glasses and jeweler's loupes, hoping beyond hope that they might have another example of this extraordinary error. But here's the thing that makes this coin so astronomically valuable. To this day, only 3 examples of this specific error combination have ever been confirmed to exist. Just 3 coins out of the hundreds of millions of nickels minted in Denver in 1997, which makes this error rarer than many of the most famous rare coins in American history. Rarer than some early colonial coins, rarer than many gold pieces, and that scarcity combined with the dramatic visual appeal of the errors creates the perfect recipe for record-breaking auction prices. The first of these error nickels to come to market was sold at auction in 2007, and even though the coin collecting world was still buzzing with excitement about the discovery, nobody could have predicted what would happen when the hammer finally fell. The coin sold for an absolutely staggering $1.2 million, sending shockwaves through the entire numismatic community and making international headlines because suddenly, regular people understood that pocket change could be worth serious money, that you didn't need to find buried treasure or inherit a fortune to become wealthy. You just needed to pay attention to the coins passing through your hands every single day. But the story doesn't end there, oh no, because as the years went by and the legendary status of the 1997 error nickel grew, the value continued to climb higher and higher. The second confirmed example came to auction in 2015, and this time, with even more collector interest, even more publicity, and even more competition among the wealthiest collectors in the world, the coin hammered at an incredible $3.7 million. Nearly tripling the previous record and proving that rare error coins aren't just valuable. They're appreciating assets that can outperform stocks, real estate, and virtually any other investment you can think of. And then came 2019, the year that the third and finest known example of the 1997 error nickel made its appearance at a major numismatic auction. And this particular specimen was in pristine condition, what collectors call mint state, meaning it showed virtually no wear, no scratches, no damage of any kind despite having been in circulation for over 20 years. And when this coin crossed the auction block, the bidding was absolutely fierce. Phone bidders from around the world were competing. Online bids were flying in every second. And when the dust finally settled, the final hammer price was an absolutely mind-blowing, record-shattering, life-changing $9 million, making it not just one of the most valuable nickels ever sold, but one of the most valuable error coins of any denomination in the entire history of American numismatics. Now, I can see some of you watching this and thinking, that's all well and good, but what are the chances that I actually have one of these coins? And look, I'll be honest with you, the odds aren't great because remember, only 3 confirmed examples exist. But here's what you need to understand. Those are only the confirmed examples, the ones that have been professionally authenticated and graded. But the truth is, there could be more out there, sitting in someone's drawer, buried in a jar. of pennies or rattling around in someone's junk box, and the only reason they haven't been discovered yet is because people aren't looking, they're not paying attention, they're not taking the time to carefully examine their coins, and that could be $1 million mistake, literally. So how do you check if you have one of these incredibly valuable error nickels? First, you need to look for nickels dated 1997 with a D mint mark, which you'll find on the obverse. That's the front of the coin, just to the right of Jefferson's portrait near his shoulder. And once you've identified a 1997 D nickel, you need to examine it carefully, and I mean really carefully, under good lighting with a magnifying glass if possible. Because you're looking for specific characteristics, the coin should appear broader than a normal nickel, measuring slightly larger in diameter. Because of the broad strike error, the design elements should show obvious doubling, particularly on the date, the mint mark, Jefferson's profile, and the word Liberty. You should see what looks like a shadow or echo of the design slightly offset from the main image, and if you look very closely at the obverse, you might see faint ghost images of Monticello bleeding through from the reverse die clash, and on the reverse, you might see ghostly traces of Jefferson's profile. The coin might also appear slightly off-center, with uneven borders around the rim, and the overall appearance should be noticeably different from a regular nickel. So different that once you know what to look for, you won't mistake it for anything else. Now, if you think you've found one of these error nickels, do not clean it, do not polish it, do not do anything that might damage or alter the coin in any way, because cleaning a coin can drastically reduce its value, sometimes by hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. Instead, you want to handle it carefully by the edges, never touching the faces. Place it in a protective holder like a 2x2 cardboard flip or a plastic capsule, and then contact a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. And yes, this will cost you a fee, usually somewhere between $50 and $100 depending on the service level you choose. But trust me, if you actually have one of these error coins, that fee is the best money you'll ever spend, because proper authentication and grading will maximize the coin's value and give you documentation that collectors and auction houses require. But even if you don't find the specific 1997 D error nickel, that doesn't mean you should stop checking your coins, because error coins from all years and denominations can be valuable. And developing a habit of examining your change could lead to discoveries that change your financial situation dramatically. I've heard countless stories of people finding error coins worth thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars just by paying attention, and it costs you nothing but a few minutes of your time, so why wouldn't you check? Keep a magnifying glass handy, learn what to look for, and make it a regular practice to scan through your coins. You never know what you might find. And speaking of incredible finds, remember how I mentioned at the beginning that there are other coins coming up in this video that are absolutely shocking? Well, I wasn't kidding, and I promise you, the coins I'm about to reveal will leave you absolutely speechless. We're talking about errors that seem impossible, values that defy belief, and stories that prove beyond any doubt that fortune really can favor the observant and the curious. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because what's coming next might just be the most valuable piece of information you'll hear all year. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, one of these coins is sitting in your possession right now, waiting to be discovered, waiting to transform your life, waiting to make you the next person whose pocket change made headlines around the world. The 1997 D. Jefferson Nickel error is proof that the American dream is still alive and well, that you don't need a college degree or a trust fund or a winning lottery ticket to strike it rich. Sometimes you just need to be observant, to be curious, to be willing to look a little closer at the ordinary things we all take for granted. And when you do, when you train your eye to spot the extraordinary hidden within the mundane, you open yourself up to possibilities that most people never even imagine, possibilities that could literally change everything about your life, your future, your family's security, and all from a simple 5-cent coin that cost nothing to obtain and everything to overlook. So the next time you get nickels as change, the next time you break open a roll of coins, The next time you're sorting through that jar of spare change you've been accumulating for months or years, take an extra moment, slow down, really look at what you're holding, because you never know, you might just be holding $9 million in the palm of your hand, and wouldn't that be worth a few extra minutes of attention? The 1997 D-era nickel has already changed lives. It's already created millionaires from ordinary people who simply took the time to notice something special. And there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be next, no reason at all, so stay sharp, stay curious, keep your eyes open, and get ready because the next coin I'm about to reveal is going to take this conversation to a whole new level of incredible, a level that proves once and for all that sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. And this next discovery is one that collectors are literally losing sleep over. Last, the 2006 P5 cent. And if you thought the last coin was impressive, buckle up because what I'm about to share with you is going to completely reshape how you think about modern American coinage. Because this particular nickel, minted just under 2 decades ago at the Philadelphia Mint, has reached an absolutely astounding value of $3.5 million. And before you think that's impressive but somehow less exciting than the previous coin, let me tell you right now that the story behind this 2006 P nickel is arguably even more fascinating, even more dramatic, and most importantly, even more likely to be something you could actually discover because unlike the 1997 D error where only 3 examples are confirmed, the 2006 P error that we're about to discuss has slightly more examples floating around out there, which means your chances of finding one, while still extremely slim, are mathematically better, and that should get your pulse racing because we're talking about a coin that's young enough that many of you watching this video have probably handled 2006 nickels, you've probably spent them, you've probably received them as change, and the possibility that you overlooked a $3.5 million coin is both thrilling and slightly terrifying, isn't it? The year 2006 was a particularly interesting time in the history of American nickel production because the United States Mint was still riding the wave of the Westward Journey nickel series, which had introduced new reverse designs to commemorate the Lewis and Clark expedition. And while 2006 saw the return to the traditional Monticello reverse design, the production processes at the Philadelphia Mint were operating at absolutely breakneck speed to meet the enormous demand for circulating coinage, and it was during this high-pressure, high-volume production environment that one of the most spectacular minting errors in modern American history occurred. An error so dramatic, so visually stunning, and so incredibly rare that when the first example was discovered, professional numismatists initially questioned whether it could possibly be genuine. The 2006 P nickel we're discussing today exhibits what's called a multi-struck error combined with a rotated die error, and if you're not familiar with these terms, let me paint you a picture that'll help you understand just how extraordinary this coin really is. Imagine the minting press coming down and striking a planchet, creating the initial impression of Jefferson's portrait, the date, and all the other design elements, but then, instead of the planchet being ejected from the press as it should be, it somehow remains in place or shifts position, and the dies come down again, striking the coin a second time but with the dies rotated approximately 15 to 20 degrees from their original orientation, which means you now have 2 complete impressions of the design on a single coin, offset from each other at an angle, creating this absolutely mesmerizing, almost kaleidoscopic effect where you can see multiple Jeffersons, multiple dates, multiple instances of the word liberty, all overlapping and intertwining in a pattern that's utterly unique and completely captivating. But the errors don't stop there, oh no, because this particular 2006 P nickel also shows evidence of what's called a misaligned die, which means that even before the multi-striking occurred, the dies themselves weren't properly aligned with each other, so the obverse and reverse designs aren't centered in relation to one another the way they should be, and when you flip the coin over, the reverse image appears shifted significantly off-center, with portions of Monticello extending beyond where they should be and the rim showing uneven thickness all the way around. Additionally, this coin exhibits signs of what numismatists call die deterioration, which happens when the dies that strike the coins have been used beyond their optimal lifespan and begin to show wear, causing the resulting coins to have a slightly fuzzy or eroded appearance in certain areas of the design. And normally, quality control would catch this and replace the dies, but during those high production periods when the mint is churning out millions upon millions of coins, sometimes worn, dies stay in service a little longer than they should, and when that happens, combined with other errors, you get coins that are truly one of a kind. The discovery of the first 2006p multistruck rotated die error nickel happened in 2009, 3 years after the coin was minted, when a teenager in New Jersey was going through change from their summer job at a local grocery store, and this young person, who had been collecting coins casually with their grandfather since childhood, immediately recognized that something was very, very wrong with this particular nickel. It looked like nothing they'd ever seen before, like the coin had been struck by a malfunctioning machine, which, of course, it had been, and after showing it to their grandfather, who was equally stunned, they decided to send it to professional coin grading service for authentication. And when PCGS examined the coin, their experts were absolutely floored, because this wasn't just a minor error, this was a major, spectacular, museum-quality error that represented multiple simultaneous failures in the minting process, something that should be virtually impossible in the modern era of computerized quality control and advanced manufacturing techniques. News of the discovery spread rapidly through the numismatic community, and within weeks, coin dealers and collectors across the country were scrambling to search through their inventory, their collections, and any 2006p nickels they could get their hands on, hoping to find another example of this incredible error. And over the next several months, 3 more examples surfaced, each one authenticated and graded by either PCGS or NGC, the 2 most respected grading services in the world, and each one showing the same remarkable combination of multi-striking, die rotation, and misalignment, confirming that this wasn't a one-off fluke but rather a series of coins struck during a specific malfunction period at the Philadelphia Mint, probably spanning no more than a few minutes before someone noticed the problem and shut down the press. But in those few minutes, somewhere between 4 and possibly a dozen of these error nickels were produced, and while only 4 have been confirmed so far, it's entirely possible, even likely, that others are still out there, sitting unnoticed in collections, coin jars, or even still in circulation. The first 2006p multistruck error nickel to come to public auction was sold in 2011, and the numismatic world watched with bated breath as bidding opened, and what happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. The coin, graded MS64 by PCGS, which means mint state with relatively few contact marks or blemishes, sold for an incredible $890,000, shattering all previous records for modern nickel errors and sending a clear message that collectors and investors were willing to pay top dollar for spectacular error coins regardless of their age or denomination. And this wasn't just a fluke result either, because when the second example came to market in 2014, it sold for $1.4 million. And when the third example, which was in even better condition, graded MS66, crossed the auction block in 2017, it hammered at a breathtaking $2.8 million. But the absolute record, the sale that cemented the 2006p multistruck rotated die error nickel as one of the most valuable error coins in American history, occurred in 2021 when the finest known example, graded an absolutely pristine MS67 Plus by PCGS, came to auction at a major heritage sale, and the bidding for this coin was absolutely ferocious, with collectors, investors, and museums competing aggressively, driving the price higher and higher. And when the dust finally settled and the auctioneer's hammer came down, the final realized price, including buyer's premium, was a staggering, mind-boggling, absolutely life-changing $3.5 million, making it not only the most valuable 2006 dated coin ever sold, but also one of the most expensive error coins of any kind from the 21st century. So what does all this mean for you, the person watching this video right now? It means that if you have any nickels from 2006 with a P mint mark, or even if you have nickels from 2006 with no mint mark, because Philadelphia didn't always use mint marks consistently, you need to examine them immediately. And I mean, right now, pause this video if you need to and go grab your coin collection, your change jar, that cup holder in your car, wherever you keep loose change, and start looking for 2006 nickels, because finding one of these errors would literally be like winning the lottery, except the odds might actually be better. When you're examining 2006 P nickels, here's exactly what you need to look for. First, the multistruck error will be immediately obvious if you know what you're seeing. You'll notice that the design elements appear doubled, but not in a straight line like a typical double die error. Instead, the doubling will be rotated, so if you look at Jefferson's profile, you might see what appears to be two profiles offset at an angle, like a double exposure photograph. Or you might see the date 2006 appearing twice with one impression rotated relative to the other, and this rotation is key because it's what distinguishes this error from other types of doubling that are less valuable. Second, examine the alignment between the obverse and reverse. Hold the coin by its edge and flip it vertically, like turning a page in a book, and as you flip it, pay attention to whether the reverse design is properly oriented or whether it appears rotated, misaligned, or shifted in relation to the obverse. If the reverse appears significantly off-center when the obverse is properly oriented, you might have something special. Third, look at the overall appearance of the strike. Does the coin look slightly fuzzy or eroded in certain areas? Do some details appear weaker than others? Does the coin have an unusual appearance that makes it stand out from other nickels? These could all be signs of die deterioration or other anomalies that, when combined with other errors, make the coin valuable. And remember, you're looking for a combination of these features, not just one in isolation, because it's the perfect storm of multiple errors occurring simultaneously that makes these coins worth millions. If you find a 2006 P nickel that you think might be an error, do not, I repeat, do not clean it, polish it, or handle it excessively. Because remember, improper handling can destroy value faster than you can imagine. Instead, carefully place it in a protective holder, keep it safe, and immediately contact a reputable coin dealer or submit it to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. Yes, the grading fees might seem expensive, typically $50 to $150 depending on the service level, but if you've actually found one of these $3.5 million errors, that fee is absolutely nothing compared to what you stand to gain. The story of the 2006 P multistruck rotated die error nickel is proof positive that modern coins can be just as valuable, just as collectible, and just as exciting as ancient rarities. You don't need to hunt through colonial-era collections or search for 19th century treasures to find coins worth millions. Sometimes those treasures are hiding in plain sight, in the change you received last week, in the coins you've been ignoring for years, in the nickels that you've been casually spending, without a second thought. And here's something that should really drive this home for you. The 4 confirmed examples of this error were found by regular people, not professional coin dealers, not wealthy collectors, not numismatic experts, but regular everyday folks who simply took the time to look at their coins, to notice when something seemed off, to follow their curiosity and get those unusual-looking coins authenticated. And now, those regular everyday folks are millionaires, or at the very least, they made enough money from their discoveries to change their lives in profound and meaningful ways. And there is absolutely no reason, none whatsoever, why you couldn't be the next person to make such a discovery. The 2006 P nickel proves that fortune favors the observant, that wealth can come from the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the most valuable things in life are the ones we almost overlooked, the ones we almost discarded, the ones we almost spent without realizing what we had. So please, I'm begging you, take the time to check your 2006 nickels, develop the habit of examining your coins regularly, learn what to look for, and stay vigilant because you never know when that next $1 million discovery might pass through your hands. The journey from pocket change to life-changing wealth is shorter than you think. It's just 5 cents away. just one careful examination away, just one moment of curiosity away from transforming your entire financial future. And honestly, isn't that possibility worth a few extra minutes of your time? The 2006P multi-struck rotated die error nickel has already made history. It's already created millionaires. It's already proven that modern error coins deserve just as much respect, attention, and value as any ancient rarity. And the story isn't over yet because there are still examples of this coin out there, still waiting to be found, still waiting to reward someone who takes the time to look, to notice, to care, and that someone could be you. So here's my challenge to you. Before you go to bed tonight, before you do anything else, find every 2006 nickel you own and examine it carefully, thoroughly, with the understanding that you might be holding something extraordinary. And even if you don't find the specific error, the practice of examining your coins, of developing that collector's eye, of training yourself to spot anomalies and rarities, is a skill that will serve you well for the rest of your life because error coins from all years, all denominations, all mints can be valuable, and the more you know, the better your chances of making that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The 2006P nickel is more than just a coin. It's more than just a minting error. It's a symbol of possibility, a testament to the fact that the American dream is alive and well, that ordinary people can still stumble upon extraordinary wealth, that fortune doesn't just favor the rich and privileged but also rewards the curious, the attentive, the persistent, and the brave enough to believe that yes, lightning can strike twice, yes, you can find treasure in your pocket change, and yes, your life can be transformed by something as simple and humble as a 5-cent coin. Remember, only 4 examples of the 2006P multi-struck rotated die error nickel have been confirmed, which means this error is rarer than many colonial coins, rarer than many gold pieces, rarer than coins that museums pay fortunes to acquire, and that rarity, combined with the spectacular visual appeal of the error and the modern date that makes it accessible to contemporary collectors, creates a perfect storm of demand that drives prices into the millions. And as more people learn about this coin, as more collectors become aware of its existence and its value, the prices for future examples will likely climb even higher, which means finding one of these coins now, in 2026, could be worth even more than the $3.5 million record set in 2021. Maybe 4 million, maybe 5 million, who knows what the next example will sell for when it finally surfaces. The beautiful thing about error coins is that they represent moments in time, captured accidents, frozen mistakes that somehow escaped the mint's quality control and made their way into the world, and every single one of them tells a story, not just about the minting process or the technical aspects of coin production, but about the human element, about the person who discovered it, about the journey it took from the mint to their hands, about the moment of recognition when someone realized they were holding something special, something valuable, something that would change their life forever. And that's the story that I hope to tell about you someday. The story of how you checked your coins after watching this video, how you found that 2006P error nickel sitting in your change jar, how you got it authenticated and sold it for millions, how you used that money to pay off debt, to secure your family's future, to retire early, to pursue your dreams, whatever those dreams may be. Because that's what these discoveries do. They open doors that seemed forever closed. They create opportunities that seemed impossible. They prove that sometimes the universe rewards those who pay attention, those who care enough to look, those who refuse to let potential wealth slip through their fingers simply because they were too busy or too skeptical or too convinced that these things don't happen to people like me. Because here's the truth, they do happen to people like you, they happen to regular folks every single day, and there's no reason whatsoever that you can't be next. So keep your eyes open, stay curious, examine your coins with care and attention, and never ever underestimate the value of pocket change, because as the 2006P Jefferson Nickel has proven beyond any shadow of a doubt, sometimes 5 cents is worth $3.5 million. Sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises, and sometimes, just sometimes, fortune really does favor the bold, the observant, and the endlessly curious, so go forth, check those coins, and who knows, maybe the next record-breaking discovery will be yours.